That's right. It's time for everyone's favorite Twitch politics show, The More Perfect Union. Covering the best in U.S. politics and Twitch political drama, we aim to disarm the left using the Constitution as our spear and shield.
The entire articulation for the use of deadly force is the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. It has nothing to do with whether or not...
What was the threat?
As a matter of fact...
What was the threat?
Are you out of your mind, Gappy? You're out of your mind. Get ready to
The other
clip
thing
this.
is that the cost of enamel paints and Warhammer figures has gone through the roof. When you poll foreign citizens of other countries about our president, they don't vote, and they are not representing the voice of their governments. It is true that a lot of foreign governments are glad that Joe Biden is president because they steamroll his shit left and right every way, 7 ways from Sunday. Matter of fact, twice on Sunday. I care what the American people think.
All right. Well, here we are, back in the old home base for another 5 days. We kind of led onto this a little bit, talked about it in the past. But yours truly, the real MPU, will be homeless as of May 6th, 2024. Apparently all the money that you put into buying a house It's not really yours if your relationship goes to hell in a handbasket. But as the title of the stream says, when the end is nigh, you got to face it with a grin. That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Although I think the progressives would prefer that it would just kill us. So, I am ruminating over how to move the substantial amount of hardware that I have procured over the course of the last 2 years into such a fashion as that it is prioritized by how I use it, and the stuff that I don't use, how I can move that into storage. So I have a nice amount of storage, so I'm not really worried too much about that. I've got a couple options for places to crash, so I'm not necessarily truly homeless, thanks to a guy I play golf with and a very good friend of mine from the U.S. Navy. So we're former Navy veterans, so he's offered me a place to crash in the communist dictates of Minnesota. Yeesh. But he's a good dude. Love him to death. So, let me see. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to cut that music down just a little bit. So I've managed to get about 40% of it done. I'm going to phone a friend on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be a combination of me packing things up, relocating them off to storage. And it's really sucks this week because it's just rain every day. But I can manage to get it done. I've got some lawn equipment and stuff like that I'm going to have to figure out what to do with. I don't know that I can put everything in and then put all the lawn tractor and everything else back into storage as well. So I may have to find a temporary place to park that locally, but shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then I'll be out. I bought new door locks. Leave the keys with the neighbors, and then I'll never come back to this location ever again. I learned a very, 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 very valuable lesson that when your gut tells you not to buy a house with somebody, you should probably not. $65,000 later. Well done. But I'm doing my best not to besmirch my former partner. Just issues that could not be resolved, could not be communicated through, and that's enough. That's all there need to be for all of it. All of it. So, if you were watching yesterday, you will have noticed that I have a pretty fair new look in my mobile stream setup. Eventually, I think that will be my permanent setup, with some minor modifications based on whether or not I'm in a home or building location, or I am in a mobile like setup for video or whatever. Looks like at least for the short run, 6 to 12 months, I'll be in Wisconsin still. So I'll be voting in the presidential election here. I'm going to call the county clerk, figure out how to get back into the old training regimen and stuff like that. Or be a poll watcher or something like that. I think think Wisconsin is going to be one of those tricky-dicky kind of situations where we don't exactly know what is going to happen. Let me see. Give me 1 second here. Just bouncing. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Good Lord. Yeah. Okay, now I can see all my stuff. So coming at you live on Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Kick. We're doing that 5-way stream. That's going to be my new stream. And if you like us in any of those places, that's great. If you happen to have a Twitch Prime Gaming subscription and you haven't used it and you don't care to use it normally, I don't know why you wouldn't. It's free to you, but consider throwing it my way. I appreciate it very much. I am aggressively working to build out a side business model that is video engineering setup. So if you have issues with your audio or video in your church or your small office building, you need somebody that can help clean it up. I'm a qualified Zoom engineer. I am also really good with video on demand systems like Kaltura, Vimeo, etc. And I can help you optimize your stuff there. So this is all about trying to make up the big giant financial hole that I am in, and probably wouldn't have been if I, well, most definitely would not have been if I had not bought this house 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I guess. We bought it in 2020. It's now coming up on December 2024, so about 4 years ago. But that's okay. There we go. Yeah, tighten up. So what have I been doing, realistically, the last couple, 3 weeks? So, on the early part of April, like literally traveling on Easter Sunday, I traveled to Los Angeles, did a broadcast show there, then packed up everything, traveled down to Newport Beach, California, which, by the way, Newport Beach, one of the prettiest beaches in America. Went down there, did another show, came home for 4 or 5 days, did some packing, and then went to San Francisco area, Bay Area, and did a 3-day show. Technically 2 days of content over 3 days. And could have come home, but I didn't. I went instead to Las Vegas. A friend of mine who's a retired Marine E8. His birthday is 4/20. So every year he goes to Las Vegas for his birthday. So I got a chance to meet him, a couple of his friends, and a brother. One of his, I think his brother. And he's got a brother and a sister. But met those guys, hung out for 2 days. Very hard 2 days. Came back to Minneapolis area at 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, a week ago. Got up at 6 a.m., did laundry, did some more packing, did some more moving things around, and got on a plane Tuesday. And I went to do something for the federal government on Tuesday. And that lasted for the balance of the week. And I came home late yesterday afternoon. Friday afternoon. And hooked up with another Navy friend of mine and his girlfriend. And went bowling. And that was actually a lot of fun because when I was done with that, of course, it was like midnight. Got home 12:15 a.m. And I didn't even notice the time change difference from all the travel. I mean, literally, I've gone coastal hopping over the course of the last month. And and I am now magically, back to a regular state. So I've got 6-7 hard days of finalizing packing, just straightening up, making sure that all of these stuff that needs to go goes, and have a plan of attack for the stuff that gets tossed. And again, like I said, the biggest challenge now is not just putting it in a box, because anybody could do that. It's organizing it in a way that allows me to get to it when I need it. I mean, I use a 4K monitor for work. I'm not going to be able to do that. So I have to revert to like a 32-inch monitor and 34-inch wide monitor as my primaries. And network and everything is obviously going to change. I got, several green screens. Got this big ginormous thing that you can't see now because of a video playing. I've got that stuff going on. That all has to fold up nice and neat. And a couple printers. So I need to figure out how to, move those in a nice, clean way. So that, God knows, man, these inkjet printers and laserjet printers are just horrible if you move them after you've opened them. It's just, I hope they don't end up getting trashed. But anyway, there's that. So there is I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about my relationship, but suffice it enough to say that people are different, and people's ability to understand each other changes over time. Sometimes it gets better, sometimes it gets worse. In my case, there were limited times when the communication would be good. That typically involved vacations, meals, nights out at the bar. Typically, Sam Kinison says, when you're spending money. And certainly whenever I was asked something, everything was all super nice and, oh, it's great and blah, blah, blah. But the moment that I asked for something, it was about a 50-50 dice roll whether or not the lid would uncork. And it is fair to point out that people that have anxiety issues or have chemically depressed issues are more likely than not to more easily lose their cool. I happen to be neither of those. But, and this goes back, I think this is like an origin story for me. But the reality of my life is that I spent 3 years being abused, massively abused in a foster care system in the 60s in California. It's not the reason I don't like California, but it's just a thing. And we moved around an awful lot, being very poor, moved around an awful lot from 1966 until 1978. In 1978, my mom and her husband, the stepfather, the person I call my father, they bought a house and moved 4 kids into a very small house that probably would not pass a HUD safety check today. But it was a roof over our heads. And my dad, who was a construction worker, he was a high school educated person who actually had medical training in the Air Force. Although he came out and he just went into construction work because that's something that his family had done an awful lot of, and it was easy, hard work, but easy to get into. I got picked on an awful lot because I couldn't afford braces. I couldn't afford nice clothes. And our neighborhood kind of butted up against a more wealthy neighborhood. So when you had to ride the bus with these kids growing up, they could be intentionally cruel. So my coping mechanism then was really to be somebody who withdrew, had a very active imagination, but I didn't make friends very easily, which is something that is probably not the case today. I make friends exceedingly easy, maybe sometimes too easy. But then, as a child, it was not easy, and I would internalize and become angry that people picked on me because I wasn't really doing anything to them. So fast forward that to how that relates to the current situation that I'm in now. My former partner, their ability to communicate via text without having the filter of nuance, many of their texts would come through as difficult to understand, and if you ask a clarifying question, you'd get launched on. And then when I felt like I was being attacked, I would just say, look, I'm just asking. And then it would continue, and it's like it became this one-upsmanship thing. And one thing I did learn as a kid, and also from my time in the military, was that humor was usually an effective way to sort of deal with things. So humor, sarcasm, or even being, I don't want to say peckish, but you can kind of get the idea that if somebody does something stupid, and we've all done this, I think the vast majority of us have done this, particularly those who stream, you get to a point where you're doing something and somebody does something bizarre, and you go like, did your parents have any kids that lived? Sometimes in my communication with my former, when it was getting heated, it invariably would land on something like, because I literally didn't understand where she was coming from. That was not effective. And as a result, over the course of years, I mean, literally years, I began to just acquiesce to things unless I got to, you build up, blow your top or whatever. And then it would just go back to a simmer, and it would simmer for, I don't know, months or whatever. But I found that there was a pattern of behavior in our relationship where everything would be going fine if I was essentially doing whatever she wanted. And that, I used to watch a lot of sports, used to ride a bike. I have a lower bad back, so I'm not going to blame that on her. And exercise, you can still exercise regardless of whatever your partner says, so I'm not blaming that on her. But eventually we began to gravitate towards the things that she liked to do, and the things that she didn't like to do, she would just either walk out of the room or complain until I would give in to whatever. So this would be like TV or whatever. And eventually I sort of got into this low T-esque kind of response where I just simply subsumed away my own identity in a lot of ways. Now, you don't see it really so much on a broadcast like this, but in my home life, it was pretty unfulfilling. So in February, I think it was, when we decided that we were going to break up, it was after a particularly bitter argument over me being unable to keep listening, really not being a sounding board, just being an auditory sponge for her hating against her old boss and her old company that she quit because she felt like they were setting her up to fail. And then after that, she would spend days constantly in her phone researching, looking for junk to justify why she felt the way she felt. And then she would want to tell it to me. And it would be the same story over and over and over and over and over. And I don't know if you've ever heard that, right? There's ever been a problem where somebody just can't let go of a thing, can't advance past it or whatever, but it's just, you get to a point where you've had enough. And we would actually have arguments about why I needed a break from it. It was literally debilitating to me to have to constantly engage in it. So we have this ginormous argument over whether or not she should file a complaint with the state of Minnesota or the state of whatever. She quit her job. She waited months and months and months. And then she finally applies for unemployment. And then the company, who said they wouldn't challenged it. And of course, she gets the initial, they get the appeal. I don't know where it stands with her, and I don't care what her routine is. EEOC or, labor, NLRB or whatever. I don't know, don't care. But I would have to hear about it every day. It was like watching... No, I'm not going to say it. It just became tedious because there was no progress being made. And it was just like, I would be told stuff. And then if I, as an engineering mind, tried to offer a suggestion, I would get yelled at. So eventually I even get to the point where I just don't even want to be in the same house. Of course, now once you do that, now you're blamed because you don't support them. You just, quote unquote, want to go to a bar. And I wasn't even drinking. I just wanted out. So this big, ginormous argument happens. And she says, I want to be rid of you. I said, well, I don't know what else you want me to do. I literally asked her if she wanted me, would it make you happy if I killed myself? Now, I have no intention of killing myself. I'm a pretty emotional, I'm actually surprisingly emotionally stable. I don't know if that means that there's something bad going to happen to me or whatever, but I don't feel, I'm not financially destitute. I've got money coming my way. I've got a job. I'm fully employed. I'm appreciated where I'm at. I've got a lot of friends. So really, I'm beginning to get back to living my best life. And the crux of this is that after we made this decision, I knew that night that it was over. And the only thing really that there was to have to do was figure out how to split the assets. And I made it real easy. There's probably $30,000 or $35,000 worth of stuff in this house that we used to outfit it, that we bought over the years. She's keeping all of it. The only thing I'm taking out of it is the equity I paid in. And that's just so I can put it onto something else. I'm 60 years old, so I don't even know that I can afford to buy another house or that it even makes sense at my age to buy another house. But I'll keep my options open on that. But there's still some paperwork that has to be done, so the only reason why I'm hanging around now basically is to get that crap done, handled. You know, I talked about like subsuming away your identity in a relationship. That's a bad thing. I am a political person. I'm an analytical person. And I'm a patriot. She is somewhat analytical. She is apolitical for the most part. And if a thing doesn't interest her, she doesn't want to know anything that's going on. What's up, Death? How you doing? Thanks for joining up or joining in on Twitch. So when 2 years ago I started streaming, of course I came on board, didn't really know anything about the quote unquote streaming community. Met up with people like CTV, Wobbly, Colonel Dan. I think his name is Jace, but he's the one guy that got banned pretty early on. We'll go in there and just have these conversations with people. And I found that there was a bunch of like-minded individuals. And I kind of got into it. Jace, I think everybody called him, but maybe. I wasn't part of the Republican Network now. Not that one group, because that was already an established kind of a thing. But anyway, there's a bunch of conservatives. There are people that are ultra conservative, ultra liberal. I consider myself to be a very strong constitutionalist. I believe there's a rule of law, and I think everything we do needs to fit within the confines of that rule of law. But I found something, because I had such limited opportunities at home. I felt like, okay, here's kind of a creative outlet. And then it all kind of blew up, really positive. I mean, I made some decisions that have affected my life now based on the relationships I began to establish with you guys on Twitch. Now, I was doing a bunch of stuff on Facebook Live. And then Facebook Live banned me, I think, for something that was related to COVID. So I think when I first started doing this crap, I was really right at the edge of COVID. And people were talking about the mask mandates, and I was saying, well, there's a lot of stuff here that's going on. I think I even might have said that I think it's highly likely this thing came out of a lab, whether it was accidental or intentional. And my personal belief on COVID was that it was an accidental release. But then once the thing was released, China realized what it was going to do to their economy. And they intentionally allowed it to escape the country because they didn't want to fall behind, economically speaking, the rest of the world. So China basically screwed the entire world. Anyway, that's more in politics. But anyway, the back to the gist of it was that I felt like I had a community in the streaming area, and there were people on the left and the right who they were at cross purposes, but people would get together and things like, Dylan Burns' Hippy Dippy, different, and other different panel type things. And I'd get in these panels and I would argue my beliefs. And of course, the panels, people sometimes will go at each other. That bothered her. I think it bothered her for two reasons. One, I was raising my voice. And she couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, so it just looks like there's a raving lunatic in an office in the house going crazy. And she also wasn't interested in politics, so that's two rubs right there. So eventually, anybody who knows me in this paradigm knows that I was very, very active. And then I was less active to not really active at all for months. And you probably do recognize that I have streamed a lot more since February of this year. And that roughly coincides with when we decided to separate. Now, we're not living in the same house together. I'm here sometimes, she's here sometimes. I'm here until the 6th of May. I'll be gone, and then it's all hers. But my ability to feel like a ton of bricks was pulled off my back, or off my chest is probably the better way to say it. I couldn't breathe. When we decided that was it, we were done. I spent 2 days going, oh my God, this is mourning, grieving the relationship that had been over 15 years in length, almost 16 years. I think August would be 16 years. But I felt like I was alive again. And I have thought about things that I want to do over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. I've got some ideas that I know I can monetize. I have gotten exceedingly good at barbecue. Hey, Abrams, what up? Good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. I just need to find some people that will join over on X and Kick and Rumble. We get those guys in. And then we'll be doing the old decent five-way there. But I've gotten really good at a number of things. I have gotten very proficient at small-scale video broadcast. I know that a lot of you guys will recall that when I first got my Rodecaster Pro, how audio would just drop, fade out, not do anything. I, knock on fake wood table. I have been very stable, electronically speaking. And I've begun to understand how a lot of this crap interacts. And I've made some very deep contacts with manufacturers. I have virtually everything Elgato makes. I got a bunch of stuff that Corsair makes. I've got stuff from LumaCube, Roland, Logitech, Samsung, Mackie. I just in order to support the live event streaming, I just recently bought two Bose S90 Pros, 90S Plus speakers that have remote drivable capability. I can literally plug a plug into my output for my Rodecaster, send it to a paired speaker, and then do a live show and also broadcast at the same time. I am a fan of the ability to get a message out there and have conversations with people. And God knows, I mean, I welcome anybody. I think a lot of people appreciate the back and forth with either like-minded or at odds cross purposes, where you can actually have conversations. The panels, everybody gets in and they go they kind of go at each other. And there's a bit of ripping and memeing and stuff like that, especially on panels like Dylan's. Queen Alexa, I think, does something like that as well. And, and other people, that's fine. Those things are fine because you can have a lot of fun and still be yourself. You can still be your own person. And then the idea that comes along the way is that, there is something that could be monetizable at some point in time. And I'm not even talking about monetizing in the cheap sense that, Twitch or somebody gives you a paltry bit of your income for the stuff that they do. Now, would it matter that much if I had 10,000 followers? No. I mean, you get big enough, I guess you'd want to be a Joe Rogan. Somebody give you a $200 million contract to go to Spotify. Could you see the More Perfect Union on Spotify? That'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be fantastic. Especially for me. I'll take the 200 mil. I'll buy a boat. Get a satellite dish, and just float. Just float out in the ocean, tax-free, offshore. Have my gas delivered to me. Pay an international excise tax fee. And then put machine guns on the deck so I can fight off the Somali pirates. But to get the bricks off your chest, no matter what it is, I'm gonna tell you what, if you have things that are weighing you down in your life, I'm gonna tell you right now that I am going to be your living proof example of what you can do when you get those bricks off your chest. And honestly, the weight is not the problem. The weight is not the problem. You just will it off your back, off your chest. You get up, you shake your shit off, and then you start making a plan to get to your next state. Whether that's a physical state, a state of mind, state of being, or a nation state. It is completely within our own ability to not be burdened by the things we think we can't escape. There's always an escape, and it's never running away from. My friends, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm running to freedom. Well, there's a thought of that too. I thought about buying a tow-behind trailer and then just spending a month, 1 month per year in a campsite somewhere, and then broadcast live and talk about everything that's going on. Again, thinking marketability, right? Have fun. Go to all the places where barbecue is a thing. Let's get a school bus. Those are cheap. Oh, no. Well, no, it takes... They're... I don't know how dependable they are. But, yeah, I mean, if you get old enough, right? I mean, I've got retirement money, so I'm not worried about any of that. I'm 5 or 6 years away from actually retiring, but I'm not going to buy an RV. I'm going to buy a travel trailer, and I'm going to put money into a travel trailer. Really, the only thing that you got to care about on a travel trailer is how sturdy is the frame and the sidewall, and then can you get it underneath the truck stop in a hailstorm. But it'll all be solar powered. 3,000 kVA. It'll go for a week. It'll be fun. Guys, I want you to hang on for just a second. I'll be right back, okay? Okay, I'm back. You know, I was just in Newport Beach, California, and I think he lives out just outside of Bakersfield, if I'm not mistaken. What's your town, Death? Where do you live? Yeah, so I think, like I said, I think Wobbly lives just outside of Bakersfield or Bakersfield area. Theoretically, I could have made it. Maybe could have made it out there, but that was such a tight turn. I went from Southern California back to not Virginia. Oh my God, that's where I grew up. Akron, Ohio. Okay, I got you. Went back to Minneapolis area. Was there for a couple 3 days. Flew to Northern California. Then from Northern California, changed my ticket. Flew to Vegas. Then from Vegas back to Minneapolis. 1 day later, turned around. Oh, Ashland, Ohio. What? So Death is in Akron, and Abrams 2000. Yeah, San Bernardino. Okay. Yeah, this is SoCal. And then Ashland, Ohio. So Akron and Ashland, Ohio. Nice. You guys get together much? You and Death? Probably nobody wants to meet Death. The actual Death. I would be remiss if I didn't check the 10,000 friggin' emails that I got. I get a lot of email. I get a lot of junk mail. You guys like that background music? Do you prefer a different, something with more pep? This happens to be rock. But I can put up anything, really. How about that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, hang on. We'll go back to rock. Good Lord. Show me more. Yeah, there's legal cannabis. I think there's legal cannabis every. Dude, I'm telling you. I'm not a weed guy. I'm not a drug guy generally. Well, I'm not a drug guy for the most part. I think while there's a free side of me that says let drugs be legal, but make the penalty for committing a crime under the influence of them steep, and don't require society to pay for your inability to maintain your life. I stopped drinking for about 3 months, and I went back and drank a little bit. Of course, when I saw my Marine Corps friend, I didn't do anything but drink. It was like being back in the Navy. So now I'm on a not drinking tip for. I got to go to Kansas City next week, and then I'm going to I'm saving myself. I'm going to call the Pope up and get myself re-virginized. But I'm going to Malaga, Spain for 2 weeks. It's going to be freaking great. It's on the southern coast. Yeah, no, you know what? I used to smoke. I used to smoke cigars and cigarettes. And when I was in college, this is like almost 30 years ago now, I would get to this point where I couldn't, I literally couldn't breathe the next morning. But Malaga, Spain, let me tell you what, Malaga, Spain, look it up on a map. It's very nice, very southern, coastal. It'll be the perfect time of year, June 8th through the 22nd. And out of the 2 weeks, I've only got to work 5 actual shows. That's right. And they're spread out over 2 weeks. So guess who's going to be on the beach? As a matter of fact, I'm checking. I need to check this now. Let me see what I got here. Let's do a new tab. Let's see. Drone regulations. Drone regulations. Malaga, Spain. I want to take my drone. Never exceed 120 meters in flight. That's pretty low. Do not fly in a minimum 8 kilometers from an airport, aerodrome, or controlled airspace. Liability insurance is mandatory. Okay. Nice. I get to take my drone to Spain. You guys want to see that? I'm going to live broadcast from Spain. It'll be earlier in the day for you guys because they're like 5 to 6 hours ahead of where we are. 4 to 6 hours, depending on if you East Coast clowns in Ohio. I'm teasing. I'm teasing because I got family in Columbus, Dayton area. Not Columbus. Columbus is what, an hour and a half away from there. Dayton. Yeah. No, I want to get out there in I'm going to get out there in one of those sand buggies. Just tear it up. You won't be able to do it like in the beaches proper, but there's got to be some place, right? I don't have enough time. Maybe I'll fly into North Africa or take a boat across because that all that crap is near Gibraltar, right? So it's not a well, the current's pretty bad. The tides and everything are pretty horrible going through there, but fuck the sharks. I'm too fat to eat. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm pretty tasty. To them, I'd look like a friggin' harp seal. Well, a really big harp seal. Yeah, famous last words. Could never happen to me. Legit. You are correct, sir. Oh, so what have you guys been doing, man? Anybody been doing anything interesting? I literally had no opportunity to catch up with Wobbly while I was in California, but I literally coast to coast. I was California, Vegas, Washington, D.C., back here, now Kansas City. Now I'm going north and south. I was going to go to Austin, Texas, which I would like because Austin has some seriously good music scene and barbecue. But if you can't get to Austin for barbecue, Kansas City's probably not a bad second. My favorite barbecue place in California ran out of business because of COVID. It was really sad. A place called Emergency Barbecue. I would love to try to get a hold of the guy who ran that and just buy his naming rights. Because I would then... I'm literally in the process now of designing tow behind smoker. That's right. You heard it from me. You heard it first. Hear from me. And then I might take it to competitions or whatever. Do 1 or 2 competitions a year. And I'm going to start a spice company. Hot pepper company called The Spice of Mike. Yeah. That's all I used to do. But now that I don't have a house, I don't have to do that anymore. I just clean up my space. I'll send you guys a photo of my empty office when it's all empty. I think what I want to do is I want to get like a small office that I can set up like a studio and just invite people in to do stuff. Become that guy. Yeah. It's going to be great. But as far as, the stream title, when the end is nigh, I didn't want anybody to think that there was something crazy going on with me personally or mentally, because there isn't. I am happy as a clam, and I am looking forward to ending this chapter, like closing this up, and then opening up the next chapter of blank pages, and just starting to write my own future history. And I wanted the streaming community to know, particularly those who know me. Maybe you appreciate me, maybe you don't, but maybe you don't have ill feelings for me. I just wanted you guys to know that I am using you guys as a source of strength. And I think community means something, and it's how we get from point A to B. And with that said, I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate being able to be part of your lives for the last 4 years. And I hope that I've got another 50 or 60 left in me. I'm gunning for that oldest American record. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I do appreciate it, Death. I still think I hear Colonel Dan's words every time you join the channel. Hello, Death. Which is ironic, given that he was a stage 4 cancer person. Miss that dude. Miss his intellect. No doubt about it. Chick sounds like, sounds a little like No Doubt. Yeah, right. I mean, everybody laughed, dude. You know, Colonel Dan was one of these guys. He was super cerebral, but he knew how to laugh and he knew how to engage with people. And I regret not having had an opportunity to meet him face to face. I don't know if his wife is still running his channel. Last time I saw, I think their Discord channel was still active, but I don't know if they're doing anything or not. Yeah. I think virtually everything Colonel Dan said, geopolitically speaking, has been proven to the extent that things that he said have happened. They've happened pretty much in alignment with what he said they would do. And that gives me cause for concern about knowing how much he had left to say or how much he did say that has not yet transpired. But I think of him often. And I know people that knew him do that as well, including you, Death. Hello, Death. Yeesh. Let's see, what time is it? It is 2:35 p.m. Central Time. And what do we got? We got like one person on Twitch, one person on YouTube. Do I got anybody anywhere else? See what? Hold on, let me see. What do we got here? Oh, that's definitely that. There we are. We got 7 people in X. Oh, 9 people on X. Hey guys, hey, if you're in X, send me a text. Send me a live comment. Happy to talk about stuff that's going on. I mean, the Trump trial, the trumped up trial. How about that? Can we do that? Anybody curious? Anybody watching? I get tired of seeing all the terror apologists like Khaleesi and Mario Narwhal. And who's that crazy communist? Hinkley? Oh my God. Just losers. Oh, we got somebody kicking in on Kick. Try to get everybody in, man. Just try to make it work. Abrams gets the multi-stream award today. Ta-da. Hang on a second. I don't know if you guys could hear the applause there. I hope you can. Should be able to. I don't know, can you? Yeah, you should be able to. Should be in the sound effects. Oh. Right, yeah. Okay. Oh, that's what I could do. I could change my so I heard that certain stream platforms prefer your top overlays to be on the bottom of the screen, which is ironic, and some prefer them at the top. And my new mobile setup that's on a different computer is they're all on the bottom. But I was just thinking the way that all of this crap works, it's easy to shift things around now. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, just I see so much craziness out there in space, man. It's just hard to imagine. It is literally in my mind hard to imagine how we are going to survive as a country. Wow, that's a pretty horrible, pretty horrible charge process over there. So I think I now I got to grab something to eat, and then also I would be remiss in my final duties this week if I didn't spend at least a couple hours at least trying to organize stuff to go into boxes, into the keeper pile or the keep it for later pile. So with that said, Death, Abrams, thanks for joining in today here on the More Perfect Union live on a 5-way stream. Appreciate it very much. And maybe I'll get to a point where I can stream again tonight. More than likely it'll be tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night. So you guys have fun. Peace out. Be good. I'll catch you on the backside.